So let's get into it because the listeners have a lot of questions after having watched the whole series, and they were so great. Everybody watched. It's like you didn't get anybody who watched one. You had all the same people watch all 5 of them. They now have their own strong opinions on it. I'm going to start with this one from Zahn, who writes as follows. Upon listening to your interview with John Tanko, I noticed a couple of things. He repeatedly used present tense. This could indicate that it is still ongoing or not over. And here's a little montage of what he's referring to from part 5 of our series on Baby Lisa.
If you can tell us what your involvement was in the disappearance of baby Lisa.
I don't have any involvement. That's what I'm saying. None whatsoever. Yeah, I don't have any involvement whatsoever. Zero. They refer to me as a link to this case. I don't want no involvement. I'm not involved. Mm-hmm. I feel I'm being put involved in something that I'm not involved in.
There were some instances where he used past tense, but I take the point. He does, like, I am not involved. He's talking about it like it's happening right now. What do you guys think as my law enforcement experts, Phil?
Yeah, that immediately stands out. I mean, the incident occurred 13 years ago, and he's referring to the present time, and it reflects his worry that he is going to be caught. That's his biggest fear now. And much of the interview, the manner in which he responded is about the here and now, as opposed to what happened way back when. And to include when he said something like, I don't want to, face a death penalty case or something of that nature. And truthful people don't sit around worrying about, that they're going to be at a death penalty case unless they have a reason to worry about it. And he carries that reason to worry every single day, is my opinion.
Did that jump out at you at all, Bill, the use of the present tense? Like, I can see the point. If you're asking me, did I have something to do with, I don't know, so let's say some scandal at Fox 15 years ago, I don't think I'd be sitting there saying, I have nothing to do with it. I am not involved. I think I probably would be using the past tense.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great pickup by your viewer, but it's not that one syllable, that one statement for me. If you look at this man's overall history, Brian mentioned that he lied right to his face without blinking an eye, that he was setting fires, the neighbor told you. What happened the night of the abduction? There was a fire. When you look at, in aggregate, all of his past crimes, meth addict, arsonist, he was a B&E, breaking and entering specialist. That was his thing, breaking into homes. The preponderance of evidence for me, all roads, in my opinion, lead to Jersey Joe.
Okay, so this is, which is confusing. He also went by Jersey Joe, but his name is John, but they goes by Jersey. Anyway, we're talking about the same man.
Yeah, I'm
on
sorry.
The subject of the fires, because he had a history of setting fires. Our viewer Jennifer had a question about the fire that happened the night baby Lisa went missing. For the audience just joining us and not up to speed, baby Lisa was stolen out of her crib in the middle of the night. After the mother was home, the 2 sons were home, they were asleep, they said. The father was out working all night on an electrician job at Starbucks. That was verified by cameras. So we never found out whether the baby was taken and killed, taken and sold. We have no idea. But the main guy we focused on in our series was this guy, John Tanko, who was a handyman in the neighborhood and had been spotted around the Irwin's house doing work. And 3 cell phones were taken from the Irwin house on the night baby Lisa went missing. One of those phones was used to call Megyn Wright. So one of those phones was used to call somebody, and the person was Megyn Wright, who was the girlfriend of John Tanko. And there had been some reporting that she had said she wanted a baby. She denied it when we talked to her. She did admit she broke up with him thinking, like, whatever, he's not a family man. This isn't the man for me. But the reporting at the time was much more specific, that she had said, I want a baby. And there was speculation he might have stolen one from her. So he likes to set fires. And that night, shortly after baby Lisa went missing, we talked in the series about how a dumpster nearby the Irwin home and near the so-called flop house where Megyn Wright had been living, which Jersey knew, and he had been there many times, was set on fire. There was a dumpster fire that was found. But in the series, we point out that they investigated, and the cops did, and didn't find anything. They did look for, signs, God forbid, of a baby or any sort of incriminating remnants. But this is what Jennifer writes. The series was fascinating. I'm curious if the fire that took place after the kidnapping was ever investigated. Is it possible Jersey was totally strung out that night, took the baby, and then burned her in the dumpster? Brian, is my information correct, right? We looked into that. It's not like the cops didn't know about that fire. They did.
Right. And I think Deborah told us also that was a dead end. There was burnt clothing in there, but it was not the baby's clothes and other garbage. By the way, that dumpster was near the flop house that she had lived in when she was dating him. On the night of the kidnapping, she was a mile away at a different flop house.
Right. Another one. This is from Jane. I just watched number 5 with Tanko. It's obvious to me, she writes, that he is guilty due to the nature of his answers and history of this case. Moreover, he states that he believes Lisa is living with a rich family, enjoying her life. Why would anyone not involved say that? I pray she is alive. I'm wondering why this statement was not addressed. Here he is in SOT 2.
Why would somebody take a baby?
You know what? The FBI asked me the same question. And I'm like, the only thing I can come up with is to sell it to maybe somebody that can't have kids. You know, I mean, it sounds crazy, but I think out of all of this, that's the best case scenario that could have happened. That the kid is whatever now, 13, going to school, has a rich family, something like that. I mean, that's the best case scenario.
Yeah.
What does that say to you guys, that he went there?
Megyn, when I said at the outset of the show today that some of my views I had been, I've had to reflect on them a little bit more, this was one of those. I had told myself at one point in the case that I was guilty of wishful thinking when I thought that she had been sold. When I heard him on the video the first time I heard that answer, it shocked me into thinking that what he was trying to do potentially is put a clue on the table that what really happened to her might have been that she had been sold. And if you connect that with the belief that he is the guilty party here, then he would be the person that would have sold her, so to speak. He's using, his answer is very, very deceptive. He immediately goes to the FBI, that he's talked to them. He's trying to develop some credibility. He's using convincing statements. As we know, deceptive people, when they can't share the truth because of the consequences, they almost immediately go into some form of convincing statements or efforts to influence us to believe them. And that's simply what he's doing there with his statements and his discussion about the FBI and his offer to, maybe put something on the table that would lead us in the right direction. Now, what I heard today about him sending Brian down the street, he may well be using that as a way to put us in a completely different direction. But I have to confess, as I mulled over this after episode 5, I wondered more if maybe there is a chance that little girl is still alive.
I think all the time about how, remember what happened with Elizabeth Smart, that any day, it's happened so many times, where just not necessarily that exact scenario where someone's missing and they come back, but where a story, you think it's over, you think you have it figured out, and then you get the news alert on your phone and your jaw drops. Oh my gosh, like huge development. And I really believe in my heart of hearts, one of these days, we're going to get the news alert about baby Lisa. I admit, I don't know whether it's going to be they found remains of a baby and the testing is done and it's her, or if we get the more hopeful possibility, which is this young woman went to Ancestry DNA, took a test, and found out she has a mother and father match who are other than the ones who raised her. And this girl does investigation and figures out she's actually Lisa Irwin. I mean, that's my hope. And I really believe one way or the other, we are going to find out. It's just a question of time. And it's one of the reasons I wanted to do this series. Like, let's know exactly what we know and what we don't know before that day comes, because I just feel like it will. What will the effect of the sparring between President Trump and the Federal Reserve be? Can the Fed take the right action at the right time? Or are we going to be looking at a potential economic slowdown? And what does this mean for your savings? Consider diversifying with gold through Birch Gold Group. For decades, gold has been viewed as a safe haven in times of economic stagnation, global uncertainty, and high inflation. And Birch Gold makes it incredibly easy for you to diversify some of your savings into gold. If you have an IRA or an old 401k, you can convert that into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold, or just buy some gold to keep in your safe. First, get educated. Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on gold. Just text MK to the number 989898. Again, text MK to 989898 and consider diversifying a portion of your savings into gold. So if the Fed cannot stay ahead of the curve for the country, at least you can stay ahead for yourself. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.